Okay, I admit, the thumbnail is a bit of an exaggeration. But hear me out. Let me start by saying that I love Flaticon. I recently purchased a 1-year subscription and I use Flaticon in all my work. In my book on the pages, in my mind maps, at work, at home. Anytime I need an icon, I go to Flaticon. I think they're simply the best source of SVG icons on the internet. I love that you can search for any term and Flaticon will return dozens of good icons. I love that you can choose between different styles, and I especially love that I can recolor my icons so they fit my color palette. I love that I can create collections, and I also love that even if you're not a paying member, you can download the icons in PNG format for free. All you need to do is to attribute Flaticon. And then the extra you get if you pay is you can get the SVG icons, which will scale much nicer in images, and you can save your color palette. Flaticon is simply great. So if Flaticon is so good, you may ask, what's the issue here? Why the thumbnail? Well, if you've been following my channel, then you will have noticed that in my previous 2 videos, I started to explore the use of AI-generated art in visual thinking. The more I learn about AI art and the more I experiment with it, the more I see its potential in helping creativity, in helping visually express myself, in helping knowledge work. So a couple of days ago, I had this idea. What would happen if I would type in SVG icon hiking, or SVG icon light bulb, or SVG icon rocket launching? And I was blown away by the results. And my issue with Flaticon is that the more I use these icons in my work, the more I notice on YouTube, on websites, even on posters in our office, that other people are using exactly the same icons as I'm using. And this doesn't feel good. It feels like I'm a copycat. It feels like I'm not expressing myself in a unique way. And yes, you could say Jolt learned to draw. And frankly, I've been trying for the last 10 years with mediocre results. So I have to accept I have a handicap here. And this is the opportunity I see in AI art generators. I can create unique icons, icons that are going to appear only in my work, but I don't need to learn the hand technique of painting, of drawing, of inking, whatever the technique might be. I can use the AI art generator with maybe some good seed images from the internet to create unique art that's unique to my thinking, that's unique to my project. So I'm not saying that Flaticon and the sites similar to Flaticon are going to die tomorrow, next week, or next month. But what I am saying is that AI art generators are already a viable alternative, and in the not so distant future are going to overtake Flaticon and the other sites by a lot. So join me in this video as I walk you through the practical details of how you can create your own SVG icons, or rather your own icons with AI art generators. I'm going to be using Midjourney in this video, and that is because after having experimented with a number of different sites and tools on my PC, I found that Midjourney is easy to use and generates beautiful artwork. If you want to use Midjourney, there is a subscription fee after a short trial, so you need to understand that. But I think you can use the same thoughts, the same approaches in other art generators as well. So there are free alternatives if you want to play with them. But also, if you follow my instructions, you can get pretty good mileage out of your Midjourney trial as well. So join me in the video and let me prove to you that indeed AI art generators are a viable alternative for creating your own icons already today. So you can access Midjourney via a Discord bot. What you see on screen is Discord. I just removed the side panels to make the interface look a bit cleaner. To invoke the bot, you need to type / and you type in imagine and you hit enter. And this brings up the image prompt. And now I can type icon New Year celebration. And when I hit enter, then Midjourney starts its processing. Now you can notice here that I have Q0.5 here, which means that Midjourney is processing at half the quality. This means that it will eat half the GPU time, and that's important because it will consume less of my quota. And also what I found that for icons, actually half image size is perfectly okay, and you can see the result here. Now, let me show you, because you saw that I didn't type in Q0.5. So the way you do that is you press / and you type in settings, and this will bring up the Midjourney settings. And here you can do various settings. I have set version 4, so that's why I'm not typing --V4, and I pressed here half quality, so I don't need to type --Q0.5 each time. So these are some settings you can do to make life easier for yourself. So this is the result we got. This is not yet an icon in the sense of a computer icon. We can see this is more an icon like an artwork of an icon, maybe in a church. So let's work with this and let's see how we can make this icon look better. So let's go through a series of changes. So this is my second attempt here. The only change I did was adding SVG before the icon to explain Midjourney that I actually want an SVG icon, not an artwork icon like in a church. And you can see that it created a set of nice looking icons. Now, if I would want to use this icon with a transparent background, so let me just show you something. If I now copy this image right here, like this, and I come over to my Obsidian-Excalidraw drawing and I paste this in here, you can see that this will have this surrounding color. Now, if instead I save this image, so let me just do this again. I'm going to cut this once more like this, and I'm not going to be too fussy about the cutting now. And I'm going to save this locally like this. Now I can remove the background. I found the best removal tool is PhotoRoom. PhotoRoom has a free background remover without size limitation. So if I come here and I upload my newly generated image, then you can see PhotoRoom removed the background in a second. I can download this. And now if I come back to Obsidian and I drop this image in there, so let me just find this image that I just downloaded, then you can see that my image is now without a background. Now, I didn't pay enough attention to cutting, so you can see there's a bit of an issue on the side, but I think you get the idea that with PhotoRoom's background removal, you can easily remove the background, and you'll see a number of examples later on how I've been working with this. So if I add SVG icon, then I already see more icon looking icons here. So what if I want to have a slightly simpler, so these look pretty complicated, there's lots of stuff on these images, so I can also add simple SVG icon, New Year celebration. Now note that I'm using the commas strategically to chunk the information for the AI engine, and you will see this later on. So here I have one soundbite of information, simple SVG icon, and the next one is New Year celebration. It's the content of the image, and I have a comma in between. Now, if we move on, I can also add colors. And so this is what you see here. Here I'm saying this is a simple SVG icon, still about New Year celebration, but here I didn't specify a color, and you can see that these images were all colorful in different ways. This one is monochromatic red. And we can also go on and, for example, you can see this. This is a triadic blue color. Now, where do these names come from? So if I look here, you can see I have a video on this as well. It's the palette loader in Obsidian, but here I have this drawing that explains the different type of color palettes. So you have the monochromatic, the analogous, the complementary, split complementary, triadic, and tetradic. And you can easily create these with Paletton. And so let me just show you that tool. So if I type in Paletton, I can create a blue triadic palette like this. So I selected blue here, and here I click on this icon here. It's a triadic color scheme, and you can see the colors. It's a sort of gold and orangey and the blue color. And now if I come back here, you can spot these colors. You can see the orangey. I think that's more the orangey. This is the gold, and this is the blue color. So indeed, with this instruction, I could instruct Midjourney to follow this color scheme. And again, notice how I have my commas here. So I separated the type of image I want and the color scheme I want. Also notice that here I was asking for a simple SVG icon. You can play with other words here. So for example, this is now a clip art, not an icon. If we go forward, then I can also ask for a simple clip art. So this looks slightly simpler. And I can actually add here additional details, and that's what you can see here. So this is now a New Year celebration with some champagne and fireworks. Also notice I misspelled champagne, and I'm going to be copy pasting this all the way. So I misspelled it all the way, but Midjourney still recognizes it. And you can also see now this is a complementary blue palette, and let's just go to Paletton and let's look how a complementary would look like. So I'm adding the complementary, and so you can see I have this brown gold color here and blue, and indeed those are the colors that you see here on the blue complementary. And this is already, I think, a pretty cool icon. We will see it later on when I remove the background, that this icon looks quite nice. But moving on, I can also add different colors. And so I have my own color palette. If I come here, I can show you this is my color palette, and you can see the colors right here in the corner. I have two colors. It's a two-color complementary color palette, and I wanted to use these colors. So how do you instruct Midjourney to use these colors? You cannot use the hexadecimal colors. So you cannot use, for example, FFF6F0. Midjourney will not understand that. You need to give it a name. But what's the name of this color? So there's a solution for that as well. The way you can find out the name of a color is you open Colors or Coolors, and Coolors has a couple of tools, and here I want to draw your attention to the color picker. And if I open the color picker, I come back here and I choose my brown like this. I'm going to switch this back, and I come here, I paste the color, and right now I already see that this is a coffee brown. Also, I can check my other main color, which is this blue-green color, and so I can also check the name of this color by simply pasting it here, and this is a viridian green color. So what do I do with this? I want to instruct Midjourney to use my coffee color. So again, simple clip art on white background. So you can see that this had a black dark background. I usually like transparent clip art that I can insert into my document nicely, and it doesn't have a surrounding. That's my preference. So the way I can achieve it is by putting it on a white background, and the white background will be easy to remove with the PhotoRoom removal site. Now I have my simple clip art on a white background here. It's still the same New Year celebration with champagne and fireworks, but here I have a monochromatic coffee color. But you can notice that it's not only coffee color, but instead of a champagne, I have a cup of coffee. So that's not exactly what I wanted. The way to overcome that is to add exclusions. So this is exactly the same as before, the same prompt, but I added no coffee at the end. So this is called a negative prompt or an exclusion. And the way you do it is you add $no, and then you list the different words that you want to exclude. So in this case, all I wanted to exclude is the coffee. So you can see that these are pretty nice looking. But let's see how we can play further with this. So a next step is now I'm introducing two colors here. So now I want my monochromatic coffee brown and viridian and black colors. So here you can see that I have one comma, and after the comma I have all the colors listed. So I don't have commas between the colors. I rather have the word and I found that this results in a better color palette recognition if this is worded like this. And you can see that I instruct that I actually want monochromatic colors on two monochromatic scales. I also tried complementary coffee brown, that didn't work, and also the complementary viridian didn't work as well. So I found it was better to instruct Midjourney to use monochromatic scales and then list the two colors I want on my monochromatic scale. But you can see here that this color scheme now looks pretty similar to my color scheme here, for example, on this book on a page. So this image would fit nicely in that color palette. Moving on, I can still play with this. So in this case, I noticed that I have some text here. So I didn't want that text, and therefore under the negative prompts, I included text as well. So I now have no coffee and no text. And I also added the word instead of simple clip art, because this is very clip arty. I rather want a simple SVG icon. And you can see that this is the result. Now moving on, you can do another trick. You can state you want a set of simple SVG icons, and what it's going to generate, it's going to generate 4 sets of icons. So then you have plenty of icons to choose from. Otherwise, nothing changed here, only that I added this simple set of SVG icons. Also, if you want, just as a side note, if you want some characters for a cartoon or something, you can write that you want a character sheet, and then you will get that character in multiple positions. So the similar here, a set of simple SVG icons creates this drawing. Now, if I want to use one of these, you will see that the quality of these images are now pretty low. So you don't have many pixels. That's partly because I'm using the Q0.5 switch. So if I'm creating a set of icons, then probably I'm better with the full quality. So I would not add the Q0.5. So I would go to settings and I would remove this setting. And also, if I like one of these, and that's what I did here, that I liked this top part, I actually wanted these glasses. So I press U1, and U stands for upscaling the image. So that instructs Midjourney to take this drawing and to upscale it. Now notice that The upscaled image doesn't exactly look the same. So look at this firework here, right here, how it looks. And then look at this here, it's a bit more complete. And sometimes you need to upscale multiple times to get to a result that you like. But in this case, I actually like the glasses that were created. So this is exactly the same as this one was. All I did was press upscale. Now moving on, what if I come across an image? And so I looked for this random image and I want a composition that looks something like this. And sometimes it's easier to show Midjourney the type of image I want instead of trying to write it down in words. So here I'm using this image. So this link here is the link to this image. You need a link to an image that is directly accessible. You can also just simply, and I'll show you in a second, you can just drop the image into Discord and then Discord will create a link and you can reuse that link. So I'm prompting Midjourney with this image and I'm saying that I want a simple SVG icon on white background and I want a silhouette of a man watching colorful fireworks. And I actually set here that I want an image with the aspect ratio of 2:3. So I want a standing portrait image. Now I'm not very happy with the end result. The sky is there, the grass is there. This is not exactly what I had in mind. So one thing I can do, and that's what I did here, I went ahead and downloaded this image and uploaded it to the PhotoRoom. I'm not going to bore you with the process now. And I created a transparent version of this image that I dropped in here. And so here, this time I'm running the same script, but I'm using the transparent image. So here in the browser, the transparent image comes across as white, but you can see this is my Discord link, Discord image link. And so now if I use this, then I get slightly better results. So here, instead of this original image with the grass, I'm now using this transparent image and you can see that these are already looking better, but they are not yet icons. I like how the guy is stepping out of the picture here. So for example, this silhouette is pretty cool. Now, if I want to work further on this, I actually recognize that maybe the aspect ratio is not something I should be setting because icons are usually square. So this was my next attempt. It's the same as this one right here. So SVG, simple SVG icon on white background, silhouette of a man watching colorful fireworks. I omitted the aspect ratio. And so these are the results I got, and you will see later on I'm going to be using one of these, I think this one, and you will see how it looks when I remove the background from this. So let's now play a bit with different sets of SVG icons. I think the benefit of doing a set is because you get a broader selection of items. So the difference here, it is the same story. So this is a simple SVG or a set of simple SVG icons on white background. I have my New Year celebration. I have my monochromatic color palette. And at the end, the new thing here, I added pencil drawing style. And if you look at these have a pencil drawing style. So these are not so sterile drawings, and if you want to have a bit more rustic images on your page, on your book on a page or mind map or whatever you're working on, then adding something like a pencil drawing style, or maybe you could add instead, here you can see the pencil sketch style. That's then even more sketchy. So the pencil sketch will be even more schematic and less in the detail. So you can play with these various styles. Also, you can add the word abstract. So in this case, I have abstract pencil drawing style, and you can see that these images are definitely more abstract. Some of them I don't even quite know what they represent, but I think this is probably a Christmas tree here. These are Christmas trees, these triangles, and these are probably cups. This is definitely fireworks. So yeah, I mean, this is now abstract, but again, depends on the objective you have with your work. These icons might exactly be the ones that you're looking for. And going on, you can start to add, for example, artists. So in this case, I have Picasso style. Now what you will notice here is suddenly I have all these guys on the picture, and you will see the same here. So my next one was Salvador Dali style, and again I have all these people on the icons, and that's when I realized that Midjourney is not only treating Salvador Dali as a style but also as a person. So I think we have the image of Salvador Dali, and that's the male figure. So what I did here is this is a repeat in the Picasso style, you can see here, but under the negative prompts, the exclusions, I added two things. So you can see here I added the person as a negative prompt, and I added Picasso as a negative prompt. So I don't want people on my drawing. So these are now New Year's celebration icons in Picasso style. I'm not quite sure these are really Picasso style, but the icons look nice. So I think from a styling perspective, this did result in quite cool looking icons. And here I have the same with Dali. And again, I don't quite recognize Dali's artwork on these, but the end result is a pretty cool looking set of icons. Now moving on, here's another one. So what I also noticed is these icons were not as detailed as previously. So I switched back to simple SVG icon on white background. And again, I have the Picasso style without the person. And I think this now looks pretty cool. And I can indeed sense some Picasso inspiration on these icons right here. And this is the same with Dali. I still cannot quite feel Dali on these images, but again, these icons have a very special look and feel, so I think these are also pretty nice. And then you can play with other type of styles as well. So in this case, I'm playing with a watercolor style or watercolor painting style. You can see it right here. And the results are just simply amazing. I love these. Then I tried crayon style, and then I tried the same with here I changed the color scheme. So here I added muted neon colors, and I added the word muted, so it's not so vivid, it's not too vivid. And I actually asked for oil painting style. Maybe I should add as a negative prompt canvas. I didn't do that. This is, I think, my last example, yes. So in this example, I could add a negative prompt canvas, and then I wouldn't have this canvas, but would have icons more looking like this. So I have a mind map that summarizes these. Let me just quickly show you that mind map, and we can also do a couple of things based on that. So let me bring up my mind map. So first of all, here you can see my transparent silhouette of a man with fireworks in the background. And you can see here are the different tools that we've been using. So Paletton was where we constructed our color palette. Then Coolors was the site where we found out the name of the color, and you can transform your color to be transparent by a couple of different tools. PhotoRoom is good, and I'm going to show you one more trick with PhotoRoom in a second. But so PhotoRoom is a good choice. I like Lunapic. It's a very simple image editor. In my other 2 videos on the topic of AI generated art, I go a bit more into Lunapic. Today I'm not going to go into Lunapic. And there are some others as well. So the remove.bg did a very nice job at removing the background, but you can only download a reduced resolution image. For icons, it actually is sufficient. So if you're only using it for icons, then remove background works for free. If you do a subscription, I found that remove background is very expensive compared to the value it gives me. So you will pay about 10 cents per image to remove the background. I find that that is a bit too much if you're working with icons. But of course, much or little is a very relative term. And then I also tried expressadobe.com, remove background. They have this free tool. It's free, it works, but it's not nearly as good as PhotoRoom or remove background. So I think this would be my last choice, but it's also an option. And so here I have the structure of my prompt. So the way I've built my prompts was using one of these words here. I actually should add as well that a set of simple SVG icons. I don't have it here, but so that's also true. So you can start with one of these words. You may or may not want to add on a white background, or you might want to use a different type of background. Then you follow with a comma and you describe the icon you want. Then following a comma, you can add the color palette that you want to use. And then again, after a comma, you can set the style of the image. And of course, I think your imagination is the limit on the type of styles you can use. And then you have the exclusions, and I used the no text. You can also add no background, and you can add any misleading, not only color names, anything that's misleading. So that was Picasso or Dali, and I had person there as well, but I had coffee here. The other color in my color palette is beaver brown, so I had beaver here as well. So you may need to add exclusions based on the image that you receive. And finally, you have these switches, and this is the half quality to save on GPU time, and this is a version 4 engine. And I'm going to post this image. I'm not going to go through each of them, but you can see that I have a whole bunch of examples here showing you what the effect of the different words are. There are 3 things I still want to highlight. So first of all, I want to use this image right here. Let me show you how I can create this transparent color, and especially I want to show you in PhotoRoom how I can easily remove this thing from the corner. So now if I go to PhotoRoom, I'm going to go to the free tools, and I'm going to click on Magic Retouch, and I'm going to start with my photo, and I'm going to choose my ant queen right here. And here I want to actually remove that like that. So I removed, you can see that I easily can remove items I don't want. So with this magic removal tool, I can remove parts of the image like these icons here from the corner. And then if I'm not going to show you that, you've already saw this, if I download this and crop this image, then with the background removal, I can remove the background and I'll end up with this view of the ant queen, which again, I think this is pretty cool how I have this transparent background and this ant queen. The other bit I wanted to show you here, you can see these blue highlights, which are differences. So I wanted to show you here that this is the same rocket to the moon icon, but in this case I'm using my color palette, and in this case I didn't specify a color palette, and you can see the difference between the colors and of course also the icons. Note that every time you run the Midjourney bot, it's going to generate slightly different icons. So it is not a recipe to get exactly the same icons. You could notice it here. So if I come back to Discord, you can see my icon here, which was icon New Year celebration. And before that, I have an icon New Year celebration, which looks, I would say, completely different. And also here we had an icon New Year celebration at the beginning, which, let me just scroll up here. So this icon again looks different. If you look at this and you look at this and you look at this, these are three different looking icons, yet they have the same prompt. So whenever you run the bot, it will create different looking rockets to the moon. But what I want to highlight here is the difference in the color palette. And then finally, I wanted to, so you can see some cool items here, this marionette or this lamp with a brain in it. And I like this horse, and the way I created this was similar with image prompting. So I simply used this image. I didn't even specify what I want. I just supplied Midjourney with this image, and I said I want an SVG icon on white background. I provided my color palette, and I asked for a hand-drawn drawing. I think the icon I received is pretty cool. Here's the blue icon with the glass without the background. I think looks cool. The watercolor and the Picasso style icon, these all look nice. And one more thing, so this is the set of icons with the glasses. And what I want to highlight to you is look at the quality of this icon even after the upscale. So this is the upscaled image, and the upscaled image isn't that great quality. So compared to the other icons like this one or this one, these look pretty sharp and nice. This one looks a bit blurry. So again, I think using a set of icons, you probably don't want the Q0.5 here. So that's the comment I added here. If I would have not used it, I would have doubled the number of pixels here, and I think the image would look nicer. So that is my case underlying that I think Flaticon and the other sites have their days counted. I can really see the potential in creating AI-generated icons already today. I played with this for 2 days now, and I generated tons of icons, and they all look much better than the icons, or maybe not much better, but they all look more unique than the ones I get from Flaticon. I can still use Flaticon as an inspiration. So sometimes the benefit of Flaticon, so let me just show you one more thing here. So if I open Flaticon and I type in New Year, for example, and I hit enter, then I get all sorts of nice icons also with 2023. So that's something that Midjourney and none of the stable diffusion algorithms, none of the AIs today are able to write proper numbers. It just doesn't work. But yeah, so you can see that Flaticon has this benefit that I type in a word and I get a whole bunch of icons and ideas. But I can look at these ideas, or I can search the internet and then go to Midjourney and generate my icon there. And therefore, I think the future is the AI generated icons. I'm just looking forward to my next book on a page where I can use these icons so I can show you how a full document with all AI generated icons look like. So thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I hope to see you next time.